Potter.
Scotty B going to work in the paint.
Eastern Conference Final. New NBA champion. And it's a team from Toronto, Canada. We, the North, are now we, the champions.
What is going on, Raptors Nation? It is Luca here back with the Raptors Nation podcast. Hope you're all doing well. The Toronto Raptors' fate has been sealed. We now know that the Toronto Raptors have locked up the 7th best lottery odds. We're going to talk about that. Also, Brandon Ingram, we're not going to see him for the rest of the season. And then we're going to have some fun at the end as the Raptors are amongst the betting favorites for Jokic. Yes. Nikola Jokic, there was a graphic that went out there, caught a lot of attention, or just the odds caught a lot of attention. So I thought we'll have a little bit of fun with that towards the end. But before we dive right into today's show, do me a solid, guys. Drop a like in the video and smash that subscribe button for more content just like this. You can follow me over on X at Luca Rosano 3. So we now know that the Toronto Raptors have officially locked up the 7th best lottery odds. And I'm going to give you a Raptors draft lottery breakdown. So, unexpectedly, the Raptors officially clinched the 7 best lottery odds last night because the San Antonio Spurs were 17-point underdogs, but they were still able to pull off the big upset over the Golden State Warriors. So, because the Spurs won, that officially clinched the Raptors into the 7 best lottery odds, as they will have those 7 best odds on May 12th, and that gives them a 7.5% chance of landing the number 1 overall pick and a 31.9% chance of moving into the top 4. As you look at the full breakdown, they got a 7.5% chance of getting number 1, a 7.8% chance of getting number 2, an 8.1% chance of getting number 3, an 8.5% chance of getting number 4. They can't get the 5th pick. They can't get the 6th pick. They got a 19.7% chance of getting the 7th pick. And they got a 34.1% chance of getting the 8th pick. So, yes, the Raptors' highest probability, unfortunately, is them falling back and getting the 8th pick. That's just how the draft lottery is. I know it sucks, but it is what it is. They got a 12.9% chance of getting the 9th pick, 1.3% chance of getting the 10th pick, and then a 0.03% chance of getting the 11th pick. So, you look at it there. The Raptors' likeliest probability is actually them falling to number 8, but they do got a chance to get into the top 4. And the good news for the Raptors is that when you look at the team that's had the 7th best pre-lottery position, they've actually moved into the top 4 in 4 out of the last 6 years. In 2019, the Pelicans moved from 7 to getting the 1st pick, and they, of course, drafted Zion. In 2020, Chicago moved from 7 to number 4. 2021, the Raptors moved from 7 to 4. Of course, that's when they selected Scotty Barnes. 2022, it happened again. The Kings moved from 7 to 4. In 2023, the Pacers stayed the same. And then last year was actually the occasion where the team fell back. Memphis, they fell from to number 9. So hopefully for the Raptors' sake, they don't fall back. And at the very worst, they pick 7. And at the very best, they are able to get into that top 4. And like I said, the optimism that you have as a Raptors fan is the last time the Raptors had the 7 best lottery odds was back in 2021. And they, of course, selected Scotty Barnes when they moved to number 4. So hopefully that happens. You're saying there's a chance. All things considered, you would have liked the Raptors to be further up. They do finish with the 7 best lottery odds. I'm glad that's taken care of because I did not want the possibility of the Raptors this going down to the last season. I know you could say it doesn't make a big difference because right now they're more likely to pick at number 8 anyway, but we're going to go with the notion that history repeats itself. The Raptors having the 7th best lottery odds will do them good once again, and they will be able to get into that top 4. And I mean, you get into the top 4 in a draft like this, it could in fact change everything. Of course, we all talk about the top prospects in this draft, talking about Cooper Flagg, Harper, Bailey, Edgecombe. If the Raptors get into that top 4, they would have a chance to select one of those 4 players because that is basically the consensus top 4. So, yeah, all eyes are going to be on May 12th, the NBA draft lottery. The Raptors' fate has been sealed. Let's hope that 7.5% chance comes in, or at the very least, the 31.9% chance would be nice to get into the top 4. I mean, it's something. It definitely is something to get into that top 4. And then the worst case scenario would be obviously the Raptors falling back and picking number 8. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, guys, we'll see if luck is on the Raptors' side. But moving on here, Brandon Ingram will officially be shut down. People thought maybe if the Raptors had these odds clinched, it would have given us a glimpse of Ingram in these final 2 games, but that is not going to be the case. Brandon Ingram has officially been shut down. It was reported the other day that Ingram saw a foot specialist in New York City last weekend. It confirmed his ankle is progressing, but recommendation was that he get a PRP injection to speed up recovery. He did get it on Wednesday, and now he's officially shut down for the season. But the plan is for him to be ready for summer activity training. So, of course, Ingram, he's been out since December. This is probably the worst ankle sprain ever known. Very, very severe. He did not play a single game for the Toronto Raptors. All in all, he played in 19 games with the Pelicans. This was kind of known. I mean, I personally did not expect to see Ingram at all this season. We kind of got that feeling 2 weeks ago when there was still no definitive timetable, and the Raptors were purposely trying to go into these games undermanned, shorthanded to lose these games. So, yeah, I did not think we were going to see Ingram. And I think this is the right call. I mean, as much as from the excitement perspective, you would have liked to see Ingram because you want to see what he can give you and just give you some excitement as a fan going into next season. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, the season's done. It's a wash. Yeah, you wanted to see what Ingram would look next to Scotty Barnes, Manuel Quickly, and RJ Barrett, and now you got to wait for that. But I'd rather Ingram come back 110% healthy for next season when the games actually matter and the Raptors are going to want to try to win, because next season is going to be a whole different animal for this team, right? Last 2 seasons have been a wash. The second half of this season, or basically this whole season, has been a wash because once the Raptors made that trade for Ingram, Bobby Webster basically said it's about the rest of the season, trying to go for the draft, trying to position ourselves the best for the draft. They could have probably done a better job with that, but we're not going to beat a dead horse with that. It is what it is. The Raptors do have the 7th best lottery odds when it's all said and done. But in terms of Ingram, yeah, I did not anticipate that we are going to see him. I think this is the right call. Don't force him back. Darko talked about it. Just let him get back to being the best version of himself, so this ankle is never an issue for him once again, and we can just put in the rear view, and next season, this Raptors team can, have a fully healthy squad, and Brandon Ingram, we'll see how he looks. And I'm very excited to see how Ingram's going to play with this team. I think that's kind of the excitement where it starts with this team going into next season, is that you are going to have a brand new player on this roster with these players, a former All-Star, a guy who can just get his offensively, one of the better scorers in this league, a very underrated playmaker. To see that next to Barnes, it's going to be fascinating to see how this all comes together and how the equation kind of writes itself out, and how this team stacks up in the Eastern Conference. An Eastern Conference that isn't that good. I've said it many times. There is going to be a lot of room for the Raptors to move on up. It's going to be a big opportunity for this team to take a jump. Is this the next Pistons? Maybe. I mean, you look at what the Pistons did, how many wins they were able to improve on. Can this be the case for the Raptors next season, where they're a bottom team now, but they take that leap, they take that jump, and all of a sudden this is a top 6 team, a playoff team? I wouldn't rule it out, because this team's going to look really good. Of course, things got to mesh. We still don't know how it's all going to work when talking about Ingram playing alongside Scotty and RJ and all that. But if that goes well, there's going to be a big, big opportunity to move on up, because the bottom of the East in particular is bad. So there's going to be a lot of shuffling, and there's going to be a chance for the Raptors to really get on up there and, be a major player in the Eastern Conference. Now, of course, we got to see how this thing comes together. And right now, how you're looking at it, You're going to have Quickly. You're going to have RJ. You're going to have Ingram. You're going to have Scotty. You're going to have Pirtle. Is a trade forthcoming this summer? I would say I wouldn't expect a major move this summer. If we've learned anything about this front office and Masai Ujiri over the years is he's going to give his guys the benefit of the doubt before he makes a big change. So I think before he does something drastic like trade RJ Barrett, which would be the most logical thing to do if you're thinking about like how can we get under the cap and maintain flexibility, I don't think he's going to do that this summer. I think he's going to roll these guys out. He's first going to see what this team looks like together, and then we're going to see maybe this team makes some changes at the trade deadline, if it comes to that. Because if things are smooth sailing, these players are meshing, RJ is flourishing, playing alongside Ingram and Scotty, I don't think this team's going to do anything. They're going to be an expensive team, but you can justify it if this team's a winner and if this team's actually in a playoff spot. But if things go the other way and this team's struggling, they're up and down, another injury happens, then we can see the Raptors make a trade at the deadline to maintain that flexibility, because the cap hit wouldn't hit them until the end of the next season. So they do have time. They do have time to potentially get under that threshold if this experiment doesn't work. So that's why I think they're going to go into next season with this group and see what this group can do together before another big change is up and coming. So that's what I see. I don't see this being a busy offseason at all. I think after the draft, it's going to be a quiet summer, and this team is going to go all in on next season to see, okay, like the last two seasons, it was about player development. It was about losing for the draft lottery positioning and all that. This season is going to be about going for it. We want to win. We want to go for it. And at the very least, I see this team being a playing team. And I can see this team being a top 6 team, again, just based on how bad the bottom of the East is. And when you're looking at that potential projected starting 5, that looks good, especially if, Quickly can be consistent, take that next jump. RJ can maintain his productivity. Scotty, BI, if he can return to his all-star form, Pirtle, like that's a pretty formidable 5 if they can all make it work, right? Defense might be an issue outside of Scotty, but I'll give this group the benefit of the doubt. And then you're looking at a bench unit that also looks promising. And I spoke more about this on my TikTok. Shed is looking like this team's backup. Grady Dick's going to head back to the bench, but that's probably going to serve him well because of his defensive shortcomings. He's going to be asked to kind of be that offensive spark plug from off the bench alongside a guy like Jacoby Walter, which right now, like I'm higher on Jacoby than I am on Grady just because I see the two-way potential with Jacoby, and he's really finished the season strong. So I'm super excited about Jacoby, but I think, Jacoby and Dick coming off the bench, that's a nice little tandem. Like I said, with Shed, Mobo, who had the triple-double the other day, can he find himself in the rotation? I would still probably say Abaji is going to be in there, but maybe Mobo can get spot minutes and work his way as being like a consistent rotation player. And then also the backup big, who's that going to be? In all likelihood, I would pencil that in as being the Raptors draft pick, because if the Raptors do indeed get the 7th pick, or even 8th, let's call it here, they fall back, they're probably going to end up going with one of the bigs. And by one of the bigs, I'm thinking either Malawak or Queen. It just depends on who's available, obviously, but also what the Raptors value. Are they looking for a more offensive-orientated big, because you would go with Queen if that's the case, or are you looking more for a defensive-minded big, more of a raw prospect, and that's Malawak? And obviously, Malawak's got his questions as well. Didn't finish the tournament strong, bowed out, not on the best of terms, in that game that Duke lost in the Final Four. Didn't have a good game at all. So there's going to be questions about that, but the backup center position, which is clearly a need on this team, I kind of have that going to the Raptors pick if the Raptors do indeed get 7 or 8. Now, if the Raptors jump up, which we're all hoping for, that changes things, because then you're looking at, okay, we're not going to go draft based on need. We're going to go draft based on best player available, because then you're talking about a potential top 4 pick of those players I just named, Flag, Harper, Bailey, or Edgecombe. You're taking one of those 4 guys if you land in the top 4. And then that's where things could get interesting of, okay, because this happened the way that it did, and now do we have to entertain a trade this summer? because it doesn't make sense to keep a guy like RJ. So that's the only way I see like another big move go down this offseason is if the Raptors get lucky in the draft, they get one of those top 4 big talents. But if things kind of fall as they're supposed to, I think the Raptors are going to end up drafting a big with that 7th or 8th pick. And that's kind of slated in as their backup big. So going back to kind of the grand picture of it all, that's a pretty competent team. That's a balanced team. That's a team that is going to look good and should compete in the Eastern Conference. And at the very least, again, be a playing team, be a 7, 8, 9 seed. Or I would not be surprised if this is a top 6 team next season. So maybe you're calling me a crazy optimist, but I just think things are boding well for this team where if Ingram comes back and he looks like the old Ingram and other guys are fitting with each other well, I like this is going to be a successful campaign. I think there's a lot of optimism about that. I think a lot of people have been looking ahead from as early as the trade deadline, and this team should be better next season. So yeah, hopefully at this time next season, we're not talking about draft lottery odds and draft lottery breakdowns. We're talking about who are the Raptors taking on in the play-in or in the first round of the playoffs. So like that's the big jump I think the Raptors are going to make and what's in front of them here. So again, it's okay that Ingram shut down. I know we're all eager to see him, but I think the focus for Ingram right now is get through the offseason. It's going to be a big offseason for him, completely rehab and heal that ankle and come back next season ready to go because it is all about next season for this basketball team. So we'll see how that all plays out. But guys, we're going to end off here with some fun. Yeah, you might say this is very crazy. I mean, it is very crazy. Let's be real. But the Toronto Raptors were actually one of the betting favorites listed as Nikola Jokic's next team. And they actually have the second best odds in the NBA outside of the Lakers. And this all came to fruition because, of course, unless you've been living under a rock, you know the Denver Nuggets went through some big changes with their front office. They fired their GM and their head coach, Michael Malone. And then people were speculating, who's next? Like, is Jokic going to get fed up? Is he going to request a trade? Are the Nuggets going to trade him? Because I feel like if we've learned something from the whole Luca Doncic trade, is that nothing is out of the realm of possibility. Like, if this was last year and I was talking about this, you can say you are crazy. Why would you even waste time by talking about this? But because the Luca Doncic trade happened, no narrative, no talking point is crazy anymore because anything can honestly happen. The Luca Doncic trade shattered all unrealistic expectations. Like, it completely just opened the floodgates to anything can happen at any time. So that's the reason why I'm bringing this up now, because you never know. And the fact that the Raptors were listed with the second best odds in the NBA other than the Lakers, you know, the Lakers are plus 300, the Raptors are plus 800. It's giving me false hope. And it's giving me false hope that I shouldn't be having because this is very, very unrealistic. I mean, I don't see the Nuggets trading Jokic. I see Jokic retiring with the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets would be absolutely stupid if they did this. But then again, the Luca Doncic trade happened, just to repeat myself. So you never know. But it is funny that this came out after the whole Michael Malone firing and Booth firing. But the Lakers, they are the favorites, of course. The Lakers, I feel like, are the favorites to get every big star. Plus 300. KK Mega Basket plus 400. Obviously, that's not an NBA team. And KK Joker plus 600. So from an overall perspective, the Raptors have the fourth best odds. But from an NBA perspective, the Raptors have the second best odds at plus 800 outside of the Lakers. And yeah, like all I'll say to this is it would be crazy. I mean, Joker on the Raptors, sign me up. I would give you anybody on this team. Scotty Barnes, I'll help you pack your bags. Like whatever trade you can think of that makes sense with the money, however many picks, you do this trade for the best player in the NBA, a guy who would instantly give you a chance to go on a deep playoff run. So it's not a matter of would you do it or not. It's a matter of would this ever become available? And the answer is no. I don't think this would ever become available unless the Nuggets somehow really implode. They go one and done. Jokic is like, F this. I want out of here. But then if that even happened, I think he would end up with his buddy Luca Doncic in LA. I don't see Joker voluntarily wanting to come to Toronto unless he wants to be playing with his Serbian friend, Darko Rajakovic. And that's the reason why I give the Raptors like a 0.1% chance is because of Rajakovic. That's the only reason why that the Raptors are probably listed here is the whole connection of Jokic, Rajakovic, Serbia. Maybe Jokic is like, hey, I want to be coached by him. And Jokic wants to come to Toronto because of that. So can Darko Rajakovic be the ticket, be the key, the reason why one day Nikola Jokic is a Toronto Raptor? That is the question. But maybe in another lifetime that would happen. But in this lifetime, yeah, I don't see Nikola Jokic going anywhere. I don't think Denver would be as incompetent as the Dallas Mavericks and purposely try to tank their team's value by trading away the Joker. So I don't see Joker getting traded at all in his NBA tenure. If he did, it's going to be the Lakers. Let's be real, guys. The Lakers get everybody. But the silver lining, the wild card, again, could be the Raptors based on odds here. And Darko Rajakovic could be that reason why, just because of that whole Serbian connection. So you're saying there's a chance. The odds are saying there's a chance. I got false hope. One can dream. And like I said, because the Doncic trade happened, I'm allowed to talk about this, and I'm allowed to be a crazy optimist with this. So Joker to the Raptors 2026. Start the campaign now. Let's go. But that's going to conclude today's pod, guys. Let me know your thoughts on all the talking points from today's show. What do you think of the Raptors draft lottery odds? Who would you draft if you're the Raptors? Let's just say you get the 7th pick. Brandon Ingram, weigh in on that as well. And then Nikola Jokic. What would you be willing to give up for the Joker? Like I said, come up with any trade package that makes sense money-wise. I would do it in a heartbeat for the Joker, man. He's one of my favorite players, and he is the best player in the league today. But, guys, that's going to conclude today's pod. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. You find this on Apple, iTunes, Spotify. Drop a like, subscribe, and go and follow me on X at Luca Rosano 3. That is it for me. It's Luke signing off. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all again in the next one.